Hello and welcome to Talk of Hope, a podcast for people affected by lung cancer. I'm Rachel Avery.
And I'm Mandy Lucas.
Each episode we'll hear from people with different experiences of lung cancer, as well as healthcare professionals who will share what's going on to improve the diagnosis and treatment of this disease.
And as someone who's had lung cancer, I know exactly how terrifying it can be. But amongst all that fear and anxiety, there is also hope. And that is what we are choosing to focus on here.
Now, in recent years, we've learned so much about lung cancer, including the many different types of the disease. Today, we're shining a light on one of the rarer types of lung cancer, called ROS1 positive non-small cell lung cancer, a diagnosis that affects only around 1 or 2% of people with lung cancer, but has a huge impact on those living with it. We're joined by Catherine Paul and Del Danaher, who are both living with ROS1 positive lung cancer. They've both kindly offered to share their experiences from how they were diagnosed to the challenges ROS1ers face and how they found strength, community and hope through it all. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Hi, Catherine. Hi, Del.
Hi.
Lovely to have you both here. So I imagine there's probably some people listening that might not have even heard of ROS1 positive non-small cell lung cancer. As I said, it affects kind of 1 to 2% of people, but with 49,000 people diagnosed with lung cancer each year, that's still a big number of people living with the disease. Would you be so kind as just to kind of tell us a little bit about this type of lung cancer?
Right. So I'm Catherine and I represent ROS1ers UK. So what is ROS1 positive lung cancer? Well, inside every cell in your body, there are thousands of genes that control how the cell grows, divides, and functions. In ROS1 positive cancer, part of the ROS1 gene breaks off and fuses with another gene. And this fusion creates a new hybrid gene that produces an abnormal protein. So in short, it basically, it's stuck like a stuck accelerator pedal, and it tells cells to grow and divide non-stop, leading to cancer. So it means now this ROS1 gene has a glitch, and it's telling cells to grow. So if it tells cells to grow, and that growth actually eventually is called cancer. And they don't die that normal death that every cell experiences. It basically keeps on growing, and then identifying more areas where they can go and conquer. So basically, they have conquered the whole body eventually, and that leads to death. So this is called ROS1 positive cancer. And ROS1 positive cancer is also a kind of oncogene-driven cancer. Now, what is an oncogene-driven cancer? It means a single faulty gene, for example, ROS1, is driving the illness. When you know the driver, you can match it to a treatment. So we are here to make rare, not invisible, and this is called ROS1 actually cancer, ROS1 positive cancer. If it's ROS1 negative, it's great, but if it's ROS1 positive, then it's cancer. And it happens for no reason at all. Like in my case, I was non-smoker, ate organic, had a proper gym routine, ate healthy food. So there was no reason to have that cancer at the age of 40, but I have it. So there's no reason behind it. It's a non-smoker's cancer. I've never smoked in my life. So this is what it is.
Because we've talked a lot with people who have other genetically mutated cancers. So, Mandy, yours was confirmed as ALK positive lung cancer. Yes. We've had people on with EGFR positive lung cancer. And I'm presuming it's a similar setup to those types of cancers.
Absolutely. So ALK positive is one of the oncogene-driven cancers. AGFR is another one. ROS1 positive is our type of cancer. And the good news is that as research is progressing, we are identifying more and more oncogene-driven mutations. So in due course of time, probably we would have identified almost 90% of cancers, which is great.
Yes.
So research is absolutely necessary and important and crucial to dealing with cancer. So
it is. And, you know, I said at the beginning there that we have over recent years, we really have learned so much. You know, when I joined the charity nearly 10 years ago, we were only just starting to talk about these genetically mutated cancers. And we've only just, you know, in recent years started to see kind of the targeted therapies come to help. I mean, Mandy, when you were diagnosed, the ALK positive bit of your diagnosis came much later, didn't it?
I was treated like I had ordinary non-small cell. I didn't even know I was ALK positive, so I had chemotherapy, I had surgery to remove that part of the lung. I had all of the normal stuff. I didn't realise that I was ALK positive at all. And it was only about 4 years later, at one of my normal checkups, when I went in terrified, like I always do, then scanxiety kicks in, and my oncologist said, "You don't have to worry, because if it comes back, we've got so many targeted therapies." My husband and I looked at each other like, "What are you talking about?" At that point, I was working for a castle and I understood the ALK positive diagnosis, but I never knew until that point, 5 years after I was no evidence of disease. So I think I've been very lucky. But it's so encouraging that there are these targeted treatments which people tolerate. I know they have their life, they have their life cycle within someone's body, but they are tolerated really well. And there's more and more coming out. Every month we read about something else coming out. So what's the treatment for yours, Catherine Dell? What's your treatment like?
I'm on entrectinib. I'm still on a full dose, which I've been on for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
I think are you on a lower dose, Catherine?
yes, I've lowered my dose actually, Del, because I've had so many issues. So we have currently 2 options at this point, and these are the only 2 targeted therapies or precision treatments which are approved by NICE, and they are called crizotinib and entrectinib. Now, because there are other drugs, but we don't have a wide choice of treatment options or targeted therapies because we are so rare. So we have few side effects. So one of the side effects is that it affects our nervous system, central nervous system. So due to the problems with the central nervous system, I've got permanent disability now, which is called neuroarthropathy. Then I have, loss of balance at times. I forget things easily, loss of judgment at times. So yes, it happens. But good news is that this is still better than chemotherapy, which is a carpet treatment. And ROS1 positive cancer responds so well to targeted treatments that most of us are living a close to normal life. I can go and go and dance in a pub and do things like that, crazy things that I loved. Have my glass of wine when I want to. It just, be there for my family. So take my dogs out for a walk. So yes, I'm living a close to normal life, but we have treatment options, first-line treatment options. Eventually, my cancer cells will find a way to, get past those, treatment targeted therapies. But at this point, I'm safe, I'm good, and things are great.
Just circling back just circling back to both of your diagnoses then. I mean, Catherine, you touched on it before. It obviously came very much out of the blue. Del, bring you in here. What was your diagnosis like?
I found a lump in my neck, and I'd had a cough for a long time, but because I'm asthmatic, I always thought it was just because of the asthma, and I thought the lump was nothing to worry about. So I went to see the doctor. I saw a locum, and he was immediately worried, and he sent me for various tests. I had an ultrasound on the lump in my neck, and when they were checking that, they also found a lump on my thyroid, which I wasn't aware of. And then they diagnosed me with thyroid cancer because I didn't fit the profile for lung cancer. And it was only when I did a chest x-ray and that showed there was a shadow there, and they did, I think they did a fine needle biopsy then, and that showed that it was lung cancer. And at that time, I thought it was only smokers got lung cancer. And again, as Catherine was saying, I'm a non-smoker. I did smoke as a teenager, but, you know, I was 48 by this point. And wheat organic, we've got a small holding. And it just came as a complete shock. It just completely shocked me.
I think it's really interesting how, so for exactly the reasons you've just said, they presumed it was thyroid cancer and kind of gave you that diagnosis first before they even considered doing a chest X-ray, which is just ludicrous.
Yeah.
Catherine, what was your diagnosis like?
Oh gosh. So mine was, it was just an incidental diagnosis. So before cancer entered my life, I was more of a fitness freak. I love to go to the gym, and I love the energy, the structure, and the control, as we discussed prior to the talk. That I'm a control freak, so I thought that through hard work and discipline, you could build your future one workout at a time. So I had a gym injury, and it's just that by chance I had bought this private health insurance, and I thought, let's go to the doctor and just see what happens, and just went through MRI, and they said that there's nothing wrong with your leg or your spine, but there is we can see something nasty in your lungs. And I really thought that they're trying to fleece my insurance on the hospital. I made those theories in my mind because there was no chance of a lung cancer. I mean, absolutely, out of the blue. So, but, things went on, PET scan, biopsy, and then they said it's adenocarcinoma. And I kind of went into a state of shock. Oh my God. Because I did fit the bill, I was not the stereotype. I ate organic actually, so I grew my own vegetables, and I was always in control of things. Anyways, fast forward.
You said the word control there a few times, and it's something we've talked a lot about on this podcast. When you get that diagnosis, there's a real loss of control. How did you cope with being in such an out of control situation?
Well, I didn't fare that well. I'll let things out. I didn't fare that well. So my daughter was just 3 years old, and I didn't fit the bill. No, I didn't. It was difficult, and I have to admit that I was just a social drinker, but I started drinking a bit more than usual. It was a betrayal. I mean, you go through heartbreaks in life, so many heartbreaks. You have been cheated upon. You go through it. But the sadness and the heartbreak and the deception which comes with cancer diagnosis, that's combined everything, and then on top of that is what cancer is all about. So that's what happened with me. But then COVID happened. And then I thought that people who didn't have any illness at all, they've passed away. In my family as well, we had, deaths because of COVID. And then I said, no, I'm still alive. So let's live my life. But there was a little thing in my mind that what if, it was stage 1 when it was diagnosed. I had this lung surgery, lobe taken off, everything was fine. But then I had my yearly scans and I thought that it might come back. But just when I started to believe that it'll never come back again, it came back in 2023. And my left lung was covered totally in 10 tumors and my lymph nodes and my bones. So doctors said it's stage 4. And at the most, you have 1 to 2 years with chemotherapy. But they were hoping for, we had kind of a rapport built with the doctors as well, just because I've been going for so long. They know that I am, I haven't done anything which could lead to this cancer. So they had kind of a feeling of sympathy and just trying to protect me. And within a week, I had this biopsy. And this biopsy results and this biomarker testing, and they said it's ROS1 positive. And the good news is that you'll respond very well to treatments, to targeted therapies, and probably you can live much longer if you respond well. So this happened, and finally I was, given within 2 weeks I was on treatments, and within 4 months I was no evidence of the disease.
That's unbelievable.
I've been there for quite a while. I still have no tumors in the body, but the side effects have been brutal.
Yeah.
Having said that, it's much better than chemotherapy. I'm still living close to normal life. I mean, my dog, whom I consider as my son, gets a walk twice a day. And I can still go for a walk. My daughter, she says, "Oh, mommy, you're still talking about stage 4 cancer. You don't look like a cancer patient. Please don't behave like one." So yeah, I've my perks in my life. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
If you've been diagnosed with a mutation-driven lung cancer, like ROS1 positive, download our specialised booklet, Mutation-Driven Lung Cancer and Its Treatment, available on our website, roycastle.org.
What a story, though, to have gone from no evidence of disease to stage 4, and then within 4 months to have no evidence of disease just from the targeted therapy. What an amazing, amazing story of hope, I suppose. These things, we've come so far, I think. It's quite unbelievable how far we've come in a short amount of time that allows you to live a, like you say, almost normal life.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Fantastic. What a great story.
It feels like a whirlwind, though. I mean, how do you process what the last few years have been like? It's I mean, do you feel like you've come to terms with the diagnosis now, or is it something you're still battling with? Del, Del's shaking her head there. So I mean, how long have you been? How long has it been since your diagnosis, Del?
4 years this month, but I was diagnosed with stage 4.
Yes.
So it was just, my daughter found out she's pregnant with the girls, roughly the same time. And it was where I wanted to be happy to become a grandmother. I wasn't happy at all because I just had this horrible diagnosis.
Yeah.
But I started the entrectinib and everything shrank and it was all suddenly so much hope. And then the girls were born and that just gave me even more hope. So I'm so proud for them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just for listeners, so this is probably the craziest podcast we've done because we've got Catherine's dog in the background and we've got Del's one of her twin granddaughters. So apologies for any background noise, but Talk of Hope is a podcast for everyone. So, lung cancer affects all the family, including pets and young children. So, yeah. So it's been kind of 4 years.
Yeah.
But you were kind of shaking your head there when I said,
I don't know ever come to terms with it. It's just, it was such a horrible time. It came out of the blue.
Yeah.
And you lose trust in yourself and you lose trust in your body. And I think that's what I found the hardest was I felt well. I didn't feel ill at all. There was all this going on inside me. Yeah, it was just a very weird feeling. It's hard to explain unless you've been in that position.
I think with the way you said, you lose trust in your body, I think, I don't know if it is something specifically with lung cancer. I mean, obviously all we talk about is lung cancer, so I can't speak for other diseases and other cancers. But because of the stigma with the disease and the association.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the stigma as well. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have smoked and you go on to get lung cancer, there's an explanation, and by no means are we pointing fingers and blame, because from at Roy Castle Lung Cancer Foundation, no one deserves to get lung cancer, in our opinion. But I think if you haven't smoked and you go on to develop lung cancer, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. I think it's potentially harder to come to terms with a lung cancer diagnosis than potentially a different type of cancer. Would you kind of both agree with that?
Yeah, I think if I felt embarrassed telling people I had lung cancer. And I felt really bitter to people around me who weren't as healthy or felt as healthy as me. I thought, why have I got that?
Yeah.
But you learn that it can happen to anyone. And I think that's when I suppose I have accepted it, but I'm not happy about it. No, it feels very, very unfair. It feels, why me? But then why anybody?
Yeah. Catherine, you talked before about, when you got the re-diagnosis, and they thought chemo was going to be the way to go. And then, you got the results of the biopsy. And I think it's a really important point, particularly if anyone's listening who is still going through a potential diagnosis, that importance of having those those biomarker tests. That's absolutely vital, isn't it?
Mm.
Yes, biomarker test is very important because many patients only discover ROS1 positive after multiple rounds of chemotherapy haven't worked, or that immunotherapy, as in Mandy's case. So they've gone through all the carpet treatments, killed all the good cells in the body, just to find out that they are not responsible for this cancer. So biomarker testing checks for genetic mutations, rearrangements, or markers that drive that cancer growth. So, like in my case, I was diagnosed at stage 1 initially. Now I'm stage 4. But because of that stage 1 diagnosis and the continuous monitoring of the cancer, I had very low cancer load.
Yeah.
So the cancer load is the tumor burden, the number of cells in the body of cancer tissue.
Yeah.
So I had very low cancer load, because of which I was never tired. I had a lot of energy as usual. I was talking, I had no issues at all actually. And ROS1 positive is famous actually for going to the brain. I didn't have any brain mets. So it's very important, it's extremely important to have biomarker testing. And I'll tell you one thing. Every year, About 500 to 900 cases of ROS1 positive cancer patients are diagnosed in the UK every year. But only 5 to 10% survive. So which means about, I would say, 400 to 700 people have actually lost their lives. Why? Because they didn't have biomarker testing.
Yeah.
Now biomarker testing has become mandatory. But what about the last few years?
Yeah.
So in my case, the consultant was too sympathetic that I have a young daughter and this girl looks so fit. She hasn't done anything wrong. When I operated on her, her lungs were the healthiest lungs I have operated upon. These were the, remarks or the sentence or the comments given by the thoracic surgeon. So why is she having lung cancer in the first place? So that's what biomarker testing does. It basically finds out, why do you have this cancer in the first place? So it's vital.
And like you said, it's mandatory now, so that's the most important thing, that all lung cancer diagnoses come with a biomarker testing phase to find out what you have and what the best treatment is. And that couldn't be more important.
It is, but it's also very important that, yes, we've got these tests, as part of the diagnostic pathway now, thankfully, but we're still seeing quite big discrepancies in how quickly people are getting results back. So again, it's, yes, these tests are great, but we've got to make sure that they're utilised in the best possible way, because as you're going through a diagnosis, to be told, yes, it's lung cancer, and then you go through all the other tests to find out the type and the stage and all of that, the mental anxiety, the emotional load that you're having to deal with at that point, you just want to start treatment, don't you? You just want to get, whatever. Yes, you've got this disease, but you just want to start an active treatment, because as soon as you start an active treatment, at least you're doing something about it. That waiting for those results, it's agonising. Did you have long to wait? I mean, Catherine, I know yours was private healthcare. Was it a relatively quick process in finding out that it was ROS1?
Very quick, within a week, from biopsy to stage 4 diagnosis to finding out the driver mutation to getting the medication.
And Del, what about you? I presume you've had and you went
NHS. I went the first time I went to see about the lump was in September, so mid-September. I had the lung cancer diagnosis the 19th of October. I started treatment the 9th of December. So within sort of 2 months, it was all done. And it felt very quick as well. It felt like a continuous test. Yeah. I felt looked after and I felt cared for. It was all good.
Good. That's really good to hear.
It really is.
So many people with lung cancer talk about the importance of community, of finding other people like you who understand what you're going through. Find your cancer crew through our online community, because you don't have to go through any of this alone. Visit roycastle.org/online community.
Del, you were talking before, I think you actually used the words kind of, why me, this diagnosis kind of coming out the blue. I imagine you felt quite alone after the diagnosis, being a young woman, and not smoked at the time, and going against kind of the stereotypical idea of who many people perceive to be someone with lung cancer.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why the community and finding other people like you is so important.
It is. I've got a big family. I've got 3 adult children, but they didn't know what I was going through. So when I found the ROS1 group on Facebook originally, it felt such a relief to hear that other people were sort of surviving 10 or 15 years. And suddenly, like they told me not to Google it, but you always do it, don't you? And it said sort of 12 to 18 months. And it was lovely to see other people had survived 10 plus years. And I started feeling a little bit more hope then, I think.
Yeah, hope's so important. And Catherine, so you've taken up the mantle of the you call yourself the ROS Wonders, is it? Is that
Yeah.
So it's called the ROS Wonders, and we just wanted to have a support group for the UK. We have, the mission is simple. It's to connect people, push for right tests and diagnosis, and fight for faster, fairer access to treatments. So if I take Mandy's case, she's quite fortunate that there are so many drugs in line. There are second-line drugs, there are third-line drugs.
Right.
It's about ROS Wonders UK. So for ROS Wonders UK, it's just first line, and they are not the best drugs actually. So that's where we are. And we are actually not that, we are talking about community at the moment. So yes, when we are talking about community, I'll not give a straightforward answer, but I'll tell you about the situation I am in. So when your diagnosis is cancer, stage 4 cancer, then what happens is that, I used to be that cool girl from university and that smart professional, who just goes and get things done. And that's how I've enjoyed my life so far, till cancer happened. And now I find myself isolated. Those friends, those people, they're not there for me. Not because they don't care, but because it's not normal to have cancer. They can't deal with it. So they kind of break off with you. They don't respond. So it's a very lonely place to be. So then when I found this group, it felt that I have people who are going through the same situation as I am. And some of them are actually living for a long time and they're happy, just normal people like me. Like if I describe myself, I can't be sad for too long. Anything goes wrong in my life, I'll probably just 2-3 days, I'll have a bit more wine than usual, and then I'll just break off,
I love that.
I'm sorry.
No, I love that.
I can't go into depression, which is great.
That's a perfect response. A bit more wine.
I'd probably take more
pick yourself
control
up,
of my life.
brush yourself down and off you go.
Just
Love
to caveat that with please drink responsibly.
Yes.
I'd probably party harder. That's it. So finding that community, finding the people who are in the same situation and who don't pity me, who are just
Absolutely.
friends, like Del, like, so many others. So I don't want pity. I don't deserve pity. I mean, I've had a good life and I'm still having a good life.
Exactly.
So it's not pity that we want. And I don't want sympathy either. I just want,
you don't want
to be there as a friend.
Do you find that when you tell people, they kind of tip their head like, it's a horrible.
Oh, that's a different story. Don't even get me started.
Yeah. And the people are only trying to help, so they're not trying to antagonize us. But like you said, we're just people with a disease. We're not charity cases. We're not that I mean charity cases. We're not don't need the sympathy. Yeah, exactly. We don't need all that. You don't want someone to look at you with a side turn. and go, I'm so sorry for you. That's not what you want. What can I do to help is the right thing to say to somebody who's got cancer.
I think it's the kind of age-old debate about the word patient, like cancer patient. Like, you're not cancer patients. You might have cancer, but it doesn't automatically make you a cancer patient, because that comes with its own images of kind of, being frail and weak and poorly, and it's just something else that's happened to you.
Exactly. It's just a phase, or it's just where your life is at the moment. I remember people just like like the sorry look you get on your face, or I'm just a person with cancer. I'm not a cancer patient. I'm still okay. I'm still living my life. I can still talk. I can walk. I can even do my job, but I've got cancer. That's how it is, isn't it, for all of us? So we digress slightly, but I totally understand what you mean.
The communities, like, because Mandy, you kind of joined in with Roy Castle. We kind of created a little mini community, didn't we, with the Like Me campaign. Up until that point, had you? In fact, I remember having email conversations with you, and you were going, I've never met other younger women who have got lung cancer. So it was, back in 2019 we did Like Me, wasn't it? So it was an awareness campaign.
I was diagnosed. It was 2019 when we did Like Me.
Yeah.
In the spring. And I was diagnosed in summer 2017. So it was a good few years, and I was attending hospital and I was going for chemo and scans and all the rest of it, but never really met anybody with lung cancer of my age. And it's the whole, especially, we're talking about lung cancer, so especially with lung cancer, I don't know about you ladies, but I found that I was saying, I've got lung cancer, but I've never smoked, all in one sentence. It's like for one sentence. It's not I've got lung cancer. You had to caveat with that, because otherwise people think you deserve it, and that's how you end up feeling, which is going back to what you said. It's a horrible, horrible place to be, and it's not true at all. I was a never smoker too, and I was also 48, Del, when I was diagnosed, so same kind of age as you. And wow, the amount of people who think that you have to be a smoker or 70 to have lung cancer is, I think things are changing now. Rachel, we do a lot of these, and I feel like things are really changing now in the lung cancer community. But I just hate the fact that anyone, whether you've smoked or not, has to justify the diagnosis. Yeah, it's not the same with other cancers. I mean, I was unfortunate enough to have breast cancer in 2022, and nobody asked me any questions about my lifestyle when I had breast cancer. I didn't feel judged. You feel judged when you have lung cancer. Yeah. And that's a horrible place to be when you've got all of that going on as well.
Yes, and I think what Rachel is saying, that anyone who shouldn't be judged, even if you were a smoker, is just one thing, because my dad smoked at least 25 cigarettes a day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He died quite early out of cardiac arrest, not lung cancer.
Yeah.
Absolutely healthy till his last day. It's just that he had heart problems, and he died of that, not lung cancer.
Yeah.
So
the most important bit about that is he was your dad.
Exactly.
It's not the smoker bit we need to focus on. It's the fact that he was your dad and you loved him and he loved you. And that's what drives me mad, is this labelling. And by labelling someone in that way, it almost dehumanizes them to a certain point. And I just want to get to a point, like with any other cancer, that lung cancer is just understood that it just affects anyone. Yes. Your risk is higher if you have smoked, but your risk is also higher if you're surrounded by air pollution, or some recent news that came out about burning wood in the home. Burning wood in the home, a new study has found, can cause just as much damage on your lungs as smoking a cigarette. So we've just got to stop thinking about it in these terms, because it can also slow down someone's diagnosis, particularly people like yourselves. Thankfully, it doesn't sound like, either of you had a real delay to your diagnosis. Catherine, thanks for the private healthcare. Yes, they weren't trying to fleece you. They were, genuinely trying to speed up that diagnosis. And Del, you had the cough for a while, but as soon as you went with that lump, it was very fast.
Yeah.
If we lived in a world where, lung cancer wasn't so intrinsically linked to smoking, do you think you might have taken the cough a bit more seriously?
Possibly. I don't know.
No.
It's never really worried me that much.
No. Yeah, it's an interesting one because it can, we know people that don't necessarily have a smoking history can take longer to get diagnosed. It's going to be a constant debate, I think.
But interestingly, Rachel, just going back to that, the Like Me campaign was very much focused on younger women who'd had quite a long diagnosis trail because the doctors just assumed that it couldn't possibly be lung cancer. And it feels like things have changed, even from 2019 to now. So we're talking 6 years. I feel like, with Belle's situation with the NHS, it was taken seriously.
But with Belle's situation, they said it was thyroid cancer before they did lung cancer.
Yes. But at least they
breast cancer because she was too young.
Yeah. But at least she was in the system. Where I feel like, because of the locum, he kind of referred you.
Yeah.
I just feel like things have got a bit better, and the basic rule is if you have lungs, you can get lung cancer, and that message feels like it's getting out a little bit more now. Yeah. It's kind of spreading a little bit more. I don't know. And maybe not.
Quite recently, we've had the new kind of rule in place, and I'm talking, and I'm going to try and string this out because I can't remember what the name of the rule is. So it's literally just come in the last few weeks, and it's named after a young woman who kind of went to her doctor about 20 times with symptoms, and eventually by the time she was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer. And it's awful. I can't remember what the Jess's rule. There we go. Jess's rule. So she was 27, and she was told she was too young for cancer.
Then she died because by the time they found it, she had a couple of months, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. And this new rule, it's encouraging GPs to, if you're seeing someone 3 times and the symptoms aren't getting any better, then have a think about something else. Maybe consider test for cancer. So we are seeing improvement, and as I said at the beginning, we are learning so much more. We didn't know ROS1 was a thing, several years ago, did we? And now we do. Just to kind of wrap up then ladies, that as 2 people living with this type of lung cancer, what do you wish more people or even healthcare professionals knew about ROS1 lung cancer? What would be your message to them?
So one thing that doctors knew was that all you need is lungs to get lung cancer. As you mentioned, that I go to my hospital, and the board that I saw was about breast cancer, and there were treatments and there were things, the main notice board was full of breast cancer, what you can do, what can happen, and what can the hospital do. So I asked the head nurse, why is there no literature about lung cancer? And since the last 1.5 years that I've been coming to you, I can't find anything which is relevant to lung cancer. And she said, I don't know. And then she thought about it for a while. And then she said, oh, maybe it's not well marketed. And I said, what do you mean by not well marketed? She said, there's no awareness. Lung cancer. I said, I never smoked, but I have lung cancer. And she has been there for the last 2 years as my nurse. And she said, you never smoked, Catherine? I I said, no, I never smoked. And she said, then how can you have lung cancer? Did you live in a polluted area? I said, no. I've always lived, in the greens and, we're surrounded by greens, and I've also always done yoga coming from India. And I've always done, organic food and all everything, all the good things and all the right things. And that's where the problem is. The awareness is the problem. And the awareness is the problem with the clinicians, which is the doctors. The awareness is the problem with the nurses. The awareness is the problem with the local public, actually. So there's lots of education and awareness programs which should happen, to educate public. It can happen to anyone. So
yeah, have it in a soap where the person hasn't smoked or it's a younger character, and that would really help change perception, because the power of those sorts of programs it's really, really important. Del, just to bring you in then on kind of a final word, what do you wish more people knew about ROS1?
Again, the same thing that it can happen to anyone. Yeah, if it happened to me, it could happen to anyone else. You try to sort of live healthy, and I don't even take any risks. I don't get drunk. I don't do drugs. I do nothing.
You're not drinking loads of wine with Catherine then, no?
I'm not. No. I'm quite impressed.
No, I'm the chair of that charity. Don't brand me as a drinker. Nobody will take me seriously.
Hey, the old glass of wine's fine by my book. Yeah. Oh no, it's a really important message to kind of end on, and it's lung cancer doesn't discriminate. That's
no, that's right.
And the more we keep saying it, the more hopefully people will finally start to understand that.
Yeah.
So thank you both. Thank you both for coming on and sharing that your experience. And I'm so glad you're both living so well. You've got a little one climbing all over you there, Del, and
she's desperately downstairs now.
We'll let you go, and long may continue to live really well with this disease, and thank you for coming on and sharing your experience.
Lovely to meet you very much.
See you now.
Bye.
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 You have been listening to Talk of Hope from Roy Castle Lung Cancer Foundation. For support and advice about any of the topics covered in this podcast, visit roycastle.org. Talk of Hope is a fortnightly podcast with new episodes released every other Tuesday. Like and subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode.